Evan stood alone on his quiet farm at the edge of the human colony, a cold wind brushing against his face as he looked at the dry land around him. His farm had once been green and alive, but after the accident that took his right arm, everything slowly fell apart. The machines became harder to use, the crops died faster, and the people in the colony whispered every time he walked by. Some called him weak, others called him unlucky, but most simply looked away. Evan did not argue. He worked with one arm every day, trying to keep his small piece of land alive. He had no friends, no family, and no hope left. One night, as he sat inside his small wooden house, the storm outside grew stronger. Dust blew across the windows like angry hands. Evan sat at his table, staring at an old screen in front of him. It showed a strange message from a service he had almost forgotten about. A cross-species marriage agency, a place where humans and aliens could find partners who wanted simple, peaceful lives. He had signed up months ago. During a moment of deep loneliness, he never thought someone would choose a one-armed farmer with nothing to offer. Yet tonight, as the storm shook his home, the screen flashed with a new message. "Your request has been accepted, human." Evan blinked in shock. His hand trembled as he clicked the message open. There was no picture, no voice note, only simple text. "I am coming. Do not be afraid." Evan felt confused. Why would someone accept his request without seeing him, without knowing him, and why did the message feel so formal, almost royal? He tried to send a reply, but the system showed sender has disabled responses. That only made him more nervous, but also more curious. Someone out there had chosen him, a broken farmer with only one working arm. The message gave a landing time. Tomorrow at sunrise. Evan barely slept that night. He kept thinking about who she could be. Was she kind? Was she running away from something? Did she know he had only one arm? Did she know he had nothing to offer? Morning came with a soft orange glow over the dry fields. Evan waited outside, cleaning his shirt. Again and again, trying to look presentable. Clouds moved slowly as the sun rose higher. Then the ground began to shake. A heavy vibration rolled across the farm. Evan stepped back in fear. The sound was not normal. It was too loud, too powerful. A massive ship emerged from the clouds, bigger than any transport used on the colony. It was dark silver, with glowing blue lines running across its body. It looked like something built for royalty, not for simple travelers. The ship landed right on Evan's field. Crushing dry soil beneath its heavy weight, a bright light shot from beneath it, and a long ramp slowly opened. Evan's heart pounded as he watched armored alien guards step out first. Their armor shined under the morning sun, and they held long weapons Evan had never seen before. The neighbors began running to the fence, whispering in shock. Some recorded videos, others pointed in fear. Why would such a powerful ship come to Evan's poor farm? Then she stepped out, a tall, beautiful alien woman with silver blue skin, bright glowing eyes, and long hair that moved like soft light. She wore elegant clothes, and her presence felt strong but gentle. She looked directly at Evan, her gaze calm, almost warm. Behind her, the guards carried large sealed crates with warning signs glowing in red. The symbols looked dangerous, powerful, and secret. Everyone froze, Evan most of all. Why would a bride bring armed guards? Why would she bring heavy sealed crates? And why did she bow her head to him like he was someone important? She walked forward and whispered in a soft voice that carried through the air. "Human, your life is about to change forever." And with those words, Evan's old world ended, and a new mysterious world began. Evan led the beautiful alien woman into his small farmhouse, his heart beating fast as he tried to make sense of everything happening around him. The guards stayed outside, forming a circle around the house like they were protecting a queen, not a bride. Inside, the room felt strangely quiet. Even the storm winds seemed to pause, as if the universe itself wanted to hear what would happen next. The woman's glowing eyes slowly scanned the simple furniture, the old wooden table, the cracked floor, and the faded pictures on the wall. She did not look disappointed. Instead, she touched the table gently and whispered, "It is peaceful here." Evan cleared his throat nervously. I'm sorry the house is small," he said, adjusting his empty sleeve with his left hand. "I wasn't expecting guests like that." The woman turned to him with a soft expression. "My name is Lyra," she said, "and you are the human who called for a partner." He nodded awkwardly, trying not to stare too much at her glowing skin and elegant movements. Something about her felt powerful, almost royal. Evan offered her a seat, and she sat gracefully, watching him with calm eyes that made him feel exposed, like she was reading his soul outside. The neighbors whispered louder. Some claimed Evan had married an alien princess. Others insisted the crates were weapons. A few even suspected that Evan had illegally bought alien technology. Lyra noticed the noise and smiled faintly. "Humans speak too much when they are afraid," she said. Evan looked confused. "Afraid? Of what?" Lyra leaned closer, her voice low. "Of what I brought with me." Evan forced a laugh. "Those crates. I don't even know what they are," he said, though deep inside he was scared of the glowing symbols. Lyra did not answer. Instead, she stood up and walked around the house, touching things gently, almost like she was studying the life he lived. The cracked cup on the shelf, the old jacket on the chair, even the empty hook where his right arm's tools once hung. She stopped at the window and watched the guards outside. "They are loyal," she whispered. "But they fear this place." Evan frowned. "Why would they fear my farm?" Lyra turned to him, her eyes glowing brighter than before. "Because this land will soon become the center of many eyes." Before he could ask anything, she moved toward the door. "I want to cook," she said unexpectedly. Evan blinked. "Cook? You? A princess, I mean." Lyra smiled, almost amused. "I told you I would be your partner. A partner works, a partner learns." She began preparing food with strange alien spices from a small silver container she carried. The smell spread across the room, sweet, warm, and unlike anything Evan had ever tasted. As they ate, Lyra asked about his life. He told her about the accident that took his arm, how the colony stopped hiring him, and how he survived by growing whatever little the soil allowed. Lyra listened without interrupting. Then she gently placed a glowing hand on the table. "You have suffered," she whispered, "and yet you remain kind. That is why I came." Evan's heart tightened. He had no idea what she meant. That night, after Lyra went to rest, Evan stepped outside for air. The guards were talking in a language he did not understand, but one crate made him stop. Its lid was slightly open, and a bright golden light spilled from inside like liquid sunlight. Evan's eyes widened as he slowly approached. The guard nearest to him blocked his path with a sharp weapon and said something sternly. Before anything could escalate, Lyra appeared at the doorway, her voice firm and commanding in her own language. The guards instantly lowered their heads like soldiers before a queen. Evan realized something huge. This woman was not just a bride, not just a traveler. She was someone powerful, someone important, someone with secrets that could change everything. As she guided him back inside, she whispered softly, "There are things you must not see yet." Evan swallowed hard, realizing his life had already changed. And he still did not know who Lyra truly was, nor why she chose him, nor what fortune waited inside those glowing crates. But one thing was clear: his quiet farm would never be quiet again. By morning, the news of the attack had already spread across the colony. People who once ignored Evan now stood outside his fence, whispering, pointing, and recording videos on their devices. Every clip showed the same unbelievable scene. A One armed farmer standing beside a royal alien princess while armored guards fought off bounty hunters on his land. For the first time in years, Evan felt the colony was looking at him, not with pity, but with shock, respect, and curiosity, but he did not know how to feel. Lyra walked beside him, calm as always. "This is only the beginning," she said softly. "Your name will travel farther than you expect." Evan shook his head. "I'm not a hero, Lyra. I'm just a farmer." Lyra smiled gently. Heroes never see themselves as heroes. They only act when needed. Later that day, a small group of colony officials arrived at Evan's farm. Their uniforms were neat, their faces serious, but their eyes carried a mix of fear and awe. The leader stepped forward, bowing lightly. "To Lyra, Princess Lyra Solarian," he said carefully, "your presence here changes everything." Lyra bowed slightly in return. "My partner and I want peace only," she said, her voice calm but firm. The officials nodded quickly and offered Evan a security contract, promising to protect the farm, but Lyra refused. Politely, "Evan is not under human protection now," she said. "He is under Soloran protection." The officials exchanged worried glances and left. Whispering among themselves, Evan watched them go. Feeling uncertain, "Lyra, I never wanted to be the center of attention," he said. Lyra placed a gentle hand on his left shoulder. "Greatness does not ask permission before it arrives," she replied. That afternoon, something unexpected happened. A group of farmers, the same ones who once mocked Evan for his slow work and empty fields, approached him shyly. Their faces carried guilt and shame. An older man stepped forward. "Evan, we were wrong about you," he said. "If you need help repairing the fields after the fight, we're here." Evan blinked in surprise. He had spent years being ignored, yet now people stood ready to help him. But Lyra stepped forward before Evan could answer. "There is no need," she said gently. "He will rebuild in a way no human farm has ever seen." She raised her hand, and two guards opened another crate Evan had not seen before. Inside were glowing blue seeds, small, beautiful, and humming with energy. "Star seeds," Lyra explained. "They grow fast, heal soil, and survive harsh weather with them. Your farm will become the richest in the colony." She placed a handful in Evan's palm. They felt warm, almost alive. Evan swallowed hard. "Lyra, this is too much." She shook her head softly. "It is called a marriage gift in my culture, working together." Evan and the guards planted the seeds in long rows. The villagers watched in disbelief. Within minutes, the soil began glowing faintly, and tiny green sprouts pushed through the ground. The crowd gasped. Some fell to their knees. Others whispered words like miracle, magic, and royalty. By sunset, Evan's farm looked alive again. Fresh and green for the first time in years, people poured water, helped clear the broken fences, and even brought food to Lyra's guards. For the first time in a long time, Evan felt something warm in his chest. Hope. That night, under a sky filled with stars, Evan sat with Lyra near the newly glowing fields. The air smelled fresh, alive, new. "Lyra, why would a princess choose a man like me?" he asked quietly. She turned her glowing eyes toward him. "Because you are humble," she said gently. "My world is full of people who want power, but you want peace. You worked alone, without complaining, even when life hurt you." She placed her hand over his. "Greatness chooses kindness, Evan, not crowns." Evan felt emotion rising in him, but before he could speak, one of the guards approached quickly, whispering something urgent into Lyra's ear. Her expression changed, calm turned into tension. Evan's heart tightened. "What happened?" Lyra looked at him with quiet seriousness. "The attackers who came yesterday were scouts," she said. "The true enemy is coming, and they will not come quietly." The wind grew colder, the night darker, and Evan knew his life as a simple farmer was gone. He was becoming something else, something greater, something dangerous, a legend hidden inside a one-armed man, now rising into the center of a storm. The night after the warning felt heavier than any night before. Evan could not sleep, even though his body was exhausted from the battle and the long day. He sat outside on the old wooden steps, staring at the glowing fields he and Lyra had planted. The tiny star sprouts shimmered softly like blue fireflies in the darkness. Lyra walked out quietly and sat beside him. Her glowing eyes reflected the starlight, giving her an almost celestial look. "You feel troubled," she whispered. Evan nodded slowly. "Lyra." "I'm scared," he admitted. "First, the bounty hunters. Now, something even worse is coming. I don't know if I can protect you." Lyra turned her head slightly. "Evan, you have already protected me," she said softly. "You stood against danger with only one arm and with no training. That courage alone is rare." He looked at the ground. "Courage is not enough to win battles." Lyra gently touched the crest on her neck, and for the first time, Evan noticed her hands shaking slightly. It was rare to see her show fear. "There is something you must know," she whispered. "Something I should have told you earlier." Evan turned toward her with concern. "What is it?" Lyra stood up slowly and motioned for him to follow. The guard stepped aside as she led him toward the last crate, the large one he had never been allowed to approach, the one sealed with golden bars and symbols he could not understand. The crate hummed faintly, like something alive was sleeping inside. "This," Lyra said quietly, "is the most important gift I brought for you." Evan frowned. "More important than the crystals?" Lyra nodded, her expression serious. "Yes, much more." She touched the crest on her neck, and a beam of golden light shot from it. Connecting to the locks on the crate, the locks clicked open one by one, releasing small sparks of energy into the air. Evan's heart raced as the lid slowly lifted. Inside was something he never imagined in his wildest dreams. A metal arm, sleek, beautiful, glowing with soft blue lines shaped perfectly to match a human's limb. Its design was smooth and elegant, unlike any human technology. Evan stared in silence, his breath trapped in his chest. Lyra spoke gently. "This was built for you before I came." Evan turned to her in shock. "For me? But how? Why?" Lyra took a deep breath. "My people studied thousands of humans and their lives. When I was forced into exile, I searched for someone who had the heart of a king but lived the life of a forgotten man." She stepped closer to him. "I found you, Evan. I watched your life from afar, how you worked with one arm, how you never treated others with anger, how you survived every hardship." Evan stared at the glowing arm, unable to speak. "This arm," Lyra continued, "is not only a replacement. It is made from Solaran, tech stronger than steel, faster than human reflexes, able to connect with your nerves. It will become a part of you." Evan felt tears forming. "Lyra, why would you do this for me?" Lyra's voice softened even more. "Because my partner must be strong. Not just in heart, but in body too. The enemies coming will not spare you. They will try to take everything from us." She lifted the metal arm with care, as if carrying something sacred. "But with this," she whispered, "you will not face them weak. You will stand with me, not behind me." Evan reached out with his left hand and touched the metal arm. It felt warm, almost alive. The surface responded to his touch, glowing brighter. Lyra nodded slowly. "It recognizes you, your energy, your heartbeat. It was built only for you." Evan shook his head in disbelief. "I'm just a farmer, Lyra. I never asked for this life." Lyra stepped closer, her voice gentle but firm. "Destiny does not ask permission, Evan, it chooses." And then, with calm determination, she guided the metal arm toward his empty shoulder as it touched his skin. A surge of warm energy spread through his body. He gasped as the arms slowly fused with him, connecting to nerves, muscles, and bone. Pain flashed for a moment, then disappeared. Evan lifted the new arm, feeling its weight. Its strength, its power. For the first time in years, he felt whole again. Lyra looked at him with pride. "Now," she whispered, "you are ready, Evan." Stared at his new arm glowing softly in the darkness. Knowing that his quiet life was gone forever. A new chapter, dangerous and powerful, had just begun. Asterisk. The next morning, Evan woke up with a strange feeling in his chest. Something between fear and curiosity. The sun was still rising when he stepped outside, and the guards were already standing in their positions, silent and alert like statues. Lyra stood among them, her long glowing hair moving softly in the cold wind. She seemed to be giving instructions, and the guards listened with deep respect when she noticed Evan. She gave him a warm smile and walked toward him. "Good morning, human," she said gently. "Today, I will show you what I brought." Evan froze, remembering the golden glow he had seen inside one of the crates. His heart beat faster as he followed her to the biggest crate in the middle of the field. The guards stepped aside, forming a respectful path. Lyra touched a glowing crest on her neck, and the crate unlocked with a low humming sound. The lid lifted slowly, and once again, a blinding golden light spilled out. Brighter than the sun, Evan shielded his eyes with his arm, fearing the light might burn him. When his eyes adjusted, he stared in disbelief. Inside the crate were golden star crystals, each one large as his fist, shining like captured stars. Evan had heard about them only in stories. They were the rarest mineral in the galaxy, worth more than kingdoms, powerful enough to fuel entire worlds. Evan stepped back, shaking his head. "Why? Why would you bring this here? Why to me?" Lyra looked at him calmly. "Because it is yours," she said in a steady voice. "A dowry for the man I chose." Evan felt dizzy. "A dowry? This is not a dowry. This is a fortune. This could buy a planet." Lyra did not answer immediately. She looked up at the sky, as if remembering something far away. Then she spoke softly. "In my world, when a royal woman chooses a partner, she brings a gift of fortune, power, and protection." Evan stared at her in shock. "Royal? You're saying you're a princess?" Lyra nodded gently. "I am Lyra Solaran, first daughter of the Solaran kingdom. Exiled by enemies who wanted my throne." Evan felt his legs weaken. A princess. He had married a princess without knowing. A royal alien princess was standing on his broken farm, calling him her chosen partner. He looked again at the glowing crystals. "Why choose me?" he whispered. "I'm just a farmer. I have nothing. I'm not even whole." Lyra stepped closer and placed her glowing hand on his chest. "You are whole," she said. "Your heart is stronger than men with two arms. My people studied you. They saw your kindness, your patience, your courage to survive even when life was cruel." Evan felt tears burn his eyes, but he blinked them away. "Studied me. Why?" Lyra sighed. "Because I needed someone pure, someone who would never try to use my power for greed. Someone who knew pain, but did not let pain change him." The guards bowed their heads as if agreeing with her words. Evan walked around the crate, staring at the crystals in disbelief. "If someone knows these are here, they will come for them," he said quietly. Lyra nodded slowly. "Yes, and they already know." Rumors travel faster than light. Evan felt a chill down his spine. "So we're in danger. We are always in danger." Lyra replied, "But now you understand why the guards stay here, why they watch the horizon, why they fear every shadow." Evan looked around at the guards. Suddenly, seeing the worry hidden behind their helmets, Lyra then opened a second crate. This one smaller and sealed with thicker locks. When it opened, Evan gasped. Inside were weapons unlike anything he had ever seen, sleek, glowing, sharp, and far more advanced than human guns. But she quickly closed it again. "Not yet," she said. "You will need these soon, but not today." Evan swallowed hard, realizing his life was changing in ways he could not control. Lyra placed her hand on his shoulder and whispered, "Evan, this fortune is not a gift. It is a responsibility, a dangerous one." He looked into her glowing eyes, feeling fear climb inside him. Lyra continued softly, "Enemies will come. They will try to take everything, but I chose you because you will not run." Her words were gentle, but they carried a heavy truth. Inside that crate was the power to save worlds, or destroy them, and it now belonged to a one-armed farmer, whose simple life was gone forever. "You said." Evan barely slept after seeing the star crystals, his small farm, once forgotten by everyone, now held a treasure people would kill for. When? The sun rose the next day. The air felt different, heavier, like the world was holding its breath. Lyra stood outside early, speaking quietly with her guards. Their armor glowed faintly as they scanned the land around the farm. Evan stepped out, still trying to understand everything. "Lyra, are we safe?" he asked. Lyra looked at him with calm eyes. "For now," she said. "But danger moves quickly when treasure shines." Her words made a cold fear run through him. He walked to the edge of his field and noticed something strange. There were footprints in the dirt, not from the guards, not from humans, but something heavier, larger. Evan crouched down, touching the prints with his left hand. "Someone was watching us," he whispered. A guard stepped beside him, speaking in Lyra's language. Evan could not understand the words, but he understood the tone: worry, fear, urgency. Lyra walked toward them and nodded. "Yes, Evan," she said softly. "We were watched last night." Evan felt his stomach twist. "Who?" Lyra looked at the horizon, her glowing eyes narrowing. "Bounty hunters, thieves. Maybe clans who want my throne. They all want the crystals, and they know a human farm is undefended." Evan swallowed hard. "But it isn't undefended," he said, looking at the guards. "You have soldiers, weapons, all this technology." Lyra shook her head gently. "The enemies who come for star crystals do not fear normal soldiers. They come with blades that cut through metal, with drones that read heat 3 miles away, with poison that kills in seconds." Her voice was calm, but the danger in her words felt sharp as a knife. Evan looked down at his empty sleeve. "Then what can I do?" Lyra stepped closer, her voice steady. "You can learn." She led him to a clearing behind the farm where the guards began placing strange training poles into the ground. Each pole glowed with small lights, like living machines. "On my world," Lyra said, "warriors train with balance, timing, and mind focus. These methods work even for people missing limbs." Evan stared at her, unsure. But Lyra gently placed her hand on his back. "You survived years with one arm. You are stronger than you. Think." And so the training began. At first, Evan struggled. The glowing poles moved unpredictably, spinning and swinging at him. He tried dodging with only one arm to balance his body. He fell twice, rolled in the dirt, and almost got hit in the face by a spinning beam. The guards watched quietly, not judging, only observing. Lyra corrected him again and again. "Use your legs more," she said. "Let your body move like water, not stone." Slowly, Evan found rhythm. His steps grew sharper, his body lighter, his reactions faster. His one arm swung with surprising speed, and his missing limb no longer felt like weakness. Hours passed, his shirt stuck to his skin with sweat. But he did not stop. Lyra's encouragement pushed him forward. Before sunset, one of the guards hurried toward them, speaking fast. Lyra's eyes sharpened instantly. "They are here," she said. Evan's heart pounded. "Who?" The guard pointed at the hills. Evan followed the line of sight and felt his breath freeze. Shadows moved near the rock's figures, dressed in dark armor, crawling silently toward the farm. Lyra whispered, "Bounty hunters." The guards spread out, forming a defensive circle, weapons glowing blue. Evan stood still, his mind racing. Suddenly, the attackers sent small drone spheres flying through the air. The devices scanned the farm with red lights. The guards shot them down, but more appeared behind them. Evan felt fear rising in his chest. "We can't fight them, Akuz," he said. "There are too many." Lyra placed her hand on his shoulder. "Evan, you trained today for a reason." She whispered, "Stand with us." Evan gripped one of the alien poles, his hand shaking, but he stayed beside her. The bounty hunters charged, their weapons crackling. The guards roared and met them halfway. Metal clashed, energy beams flashed through the air. The sound of battle shook the farm. Evan dodged a strike, just like Lyra taught him. Using his legs to stay balanced, he hit an attacker with the training pole. Surprising even himself, the enemy stumbled back. Shocked by the strength of a one-armed human, the attackers retreated into the night. Confused and defeated by a farmer they thought was harmless, Lyra stood beside Evan, breathing hard. "You see?" She whispered, "You are not weak, Evan. You are becoming someone they will fear." Evan stared into the dark horizon where the enemies had disappeared, feeling something new in his chest. Not fear, but strength. A strength that would soon be tested even more as bigger dangers moved closer, one step at a time. The first morning with Evan's new arm felt nothing like anything he had ever experienced. When he stepped outside, the air felt clearer, the light felt brighter, and even the sound of the wind felt sharper and stronger. His new arm moved like it had always been part of him. He flexed the metallic fingers, watching them respond with perfect smoothness. Almost like living skin. Lyra stood nearby, her glowing eyes full of pride. "How do you feel?" she asked gently. Evan breathed deeply. "Whole," he whispered. "Stronger. Faster. Alive." Lyra nodded softly. "Good. You will need that strength." Before Evan could ask why, a guard rushed toward them. His armor flickered with warning lights, and he spoke quickly in Lyra's language, urgency heavy in every word. Lyra's expression sharpened. "They are coming," she said, her voice calm but tense. "The true enemy." Evan clenched his new metallic fist, feeling power pulse through it like electricity. "Then we face them," he said. The sky darkened suddenly. A massive shadow moved above the clouds, growing larger and larger. The ground vibrated under their feet. Lyra stepped forward, her gaze locked on the sky. A colossal warship tore through the clouds, its metal dark and cracked, marked with symbols Evan had never seen before. It was nothing like Lyra's elegant royal ship. This one looked like a predator made of steel. "The Scourge clan," Lyra whispered. "They destroy worlds for resources. They want the star crystals, and they want me." Evan's jaw tightened. "They're not taking anything." The Scourge ship opened its lower hangar, and dozens of dark-armored warriors dropped to the ground. Their armor hissed with toxic green fog, and their weapons glowed with deadly energy. The guards surrounding the farm took their positions, raising their weapons. Lyra moved beside Evan, her presence calm and steady. "Evan," she said softly, "you fight beside me now, not behind me." Evan nodded. Together, the enemy charged, their screams echoing across the fields. The guards met them with beams of blue light. The clash shook the land, and sparks flew into the air like shooting stars. Evan stepped forward, using his new arm for the first time in real battle. An enemy swung a blade at him. Evan blocked it with a metal forearm. The blade shattered on impact. The Scourge warrior froze in shock, and Evan struck him with a single blow that sent him crashing into the dirt. Lyra fought beside him with graceful, deadly movements, Her hands glowed with energy, each strike knocking enemies away like they were made of paper. The battle was fierce, violent, and fast, but slowly. The scourge began to fall back, shocked by the strength of a one-armed human who fought like a storm. Finally, the scourge warship retreated into the clouds, disappearing as fast as it had arrived. The farm became silent again, except for the soft breathing of the guards and the distant wind. Lyra looked at Evan with pride in her glowing eyes. "You were extraordinary," she whispered. Evan wiped sweat from his forehead with his metal hand, still amazed that it obeyed him so perfectly. "I just protected my home," he said quietly. Lyra stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Your home is now ours." Days later, the colony gathered for a massive celebration. Humans and aliens stood together, cheering for Evan and Lyra. The story of the one-armed farmer who fought a clan spread across planets within hours, in a small ceremony. Under the twin suns, Evan and Lyra stood together as partners. Lyra wore elegant royal garments, and Evan wore a simple but proud outfit. She held his metal hand gently. "You once lived a quiet life of pain," she said softly, "but destiny brought you to me." Evan smiled. "And you brought me a life I never dreamed of." The crowd cheered as they embraced. The glowing fields behind them danced with soft blue light. Evan looked at his farm, once broken, empty and forgotten, now alive, thriving, and filled with people. He looked at Lyra, who had brought not only fortune, but purpose, strength, and love. His new life had begun, not as a lonely farmer, not as a broken man, but as a protector, a partner, a symbol of courage across the stars. And as he held Lyra's hand beneath the bright sky, one truth settled deep in his heart. He was no longer the one-armed farmer. He was the man who changed fate and built a new world with the woman who chose him. Asterisk.